Aloha and welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to be talking about control structures. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the if-else control structure. So what are control structures? Control structures are statements that allow you to conditionally execute different blocks of code known as branches. So why do we need control structures? Well, imagine you had a program that did something different for each day of the week. And if you didn't have a control structure, if you weren't able to say on Monday, do this, on Tuesday, do that, you'd have to have a separate program for each day of the week. And that would be quite inconvenient. But it can get even worse. Let's say you had to do something at a different time of the day for each day of the week. Let's say you had something for the morning or the afternoon or the evening. That's 3 different things that you'd have for each day of the week. So you'd need to have 7 times 3 programs just to do everything you want. So that becomes a bit unwieldy. So the idea of control structures was readily apparent in the beginning that they were going to need this. So from some of the earliest computer programs on, you had this idea that you could do different types of things based on your logic. So anyhow, there are a number of different control structures available in languages, and you're going to see these when you learn other languages, not just Python, but you're going to see it in whatever languages you pick up in the future. All languages have different types of control structures. Some of them are going to look very similar, if not exactly the same as the ones you learned here. But some of the different control structures you're going to see the if then else. You're going to see switch statements, select statements, some languages call them. You'll see the do while loops. You'll see for loops. You'll see repeat until loops. These are all different types of control structures that allow you to do certain things based on certain conditions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to show you some of the examples that they had in the book. So if you give me just a second here, I'm going to pull up VS Code. I do a lot of my programming in VS Code, and I'm going to be using that here for most of the examples that I show. So right here, we have VS Code. I'm using a couple of different extensions in here to do colorization and things like that. I also have something called Code Runner, which is kind of neat. It helps you to actually run code. You can run it directly from the program. It'll put everything into a little output terminal at the bottom. So let's start here with branches. One of the examples they had was the hotel discount for senior citizens. So we're going to start here with hotel rate of $155. Dollars is just, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean dollars. It's just 155 of whatever unit. I'm just going to say dollars. Then we have customer age. We're going to set that to 65. So the control structure is here. If customer age is greater than 65, we're going to set the hotel rate equal to the hotel rate minus 20. So this is has the effect of giving a discount for people that are older than 65. And then the next line is print hotel rate is, and then we print the hotel rate. So a couple of things to note here. Over here, we have the colon. So we have our control structure, the if customer age greater than 65, we'll have a colon. And then the code block that we're going to have is going to be indented, either 4 spaces or a tab here. So we could have one line of code like we do here, or we could actually do something like this. And we could, let's say we want, we're going to indent that as well. And we can have both lines executed if the customer age is greater than 65. For right now, I want to be able to show you what happens if we do or do not set that hotel rate depending on customer age. So just leave it like this. Now I'm going to hit the magic key sequence here, and I'm going to run this program. So down here at the bottom, we see that the hotel rate is 155. Why is that? Let's go up here and look. So we have hotel rate is 155. Our customer age is 65. Is customer age greater than 65? No, it is not. So you'll notice that the expression that we have here, this is going to evaluate to what we call Boolean. A Boolean can be true or false. So depending on whether this is true or false, we're going to execute the next bit of code. So because 65 is not greater than 65, we're not going to reduce the hotel rate by 20. So as we expected, it's going to be 155. So let's go up here and let's change that to 66 and see what happens. So I hit let's go ahead and clear the screen here, and let's go ahead and run that code again. And we have that the hotel rate is 135, just as we thought it should be. So we have 155 minus 20, that gives us 135. So yeah, what happens if we use 64? Well, let's go in here and hit 64. We'll run it again, and we have 155 as expected. So 64 is not greater than 65. 65 is not greater than 65. It's not until we do 66 or something above it that we're going to see that we have 135. So this is the control structure. This is the most simple form. This is our if statement, and this is what's executed if it's true. So the next example that they have is, I think it was the determining absolute value. So I'm going to go ahead and comment out everything up here. And that's another neat little nifty thing that we have with just a couple of keystrokes. We can comment everything out. I think it's on the Mac, it's a command / that allows you to do that. So if you're using VS Code, that's a neat little trick that comes in handy quite a lot. So the next code block that I'm going to work with here is the example they had for determining absolute value. So we're going to start with our number equal to -88. So our logic here is going to be if our number is less than 0, our number is equal to negative our number. And then we're going to print that out. So what do you think it'll be? Looking at that, it's going to be -88. Is it less than 0? Yes, it is. So we're going to multiply it by essentially -1, making it 88. So let's go ahead and run that and see what happens. Scroll down a little bit. Absolute value of it is 88. That's great. So let's go ahead and let's take a positive number and see what happens. Let's make it 88 and then run it. Scroll down and our number is 88. So that's obviously giving us the absolute value. What happens if we put in 0 here? What would happen then? Let's run it. So if we put in 0, it's 0. So yeah, so when you're testing code in general and you want to make sure that something works, it's always good to test, clear examples of, both sides of it. But then to get that edge case, that border case, you want to go ahead and test the value itself, like 0 here. So that's why we test 0. We also do one that's positive and negative. This just is a good thing to keep in mind when you're testing code in general. So then the next part of code that we're going to have is for when we do more than one branch. So I'm going to paste in, first of all, let's go ahead and comment this out. Then we'll pull up the next set of code. So in this one, we're looking at the if-else branch. So up until now, we've had just the one thing that we do if the conditional is true. So if this evaluates true, we do the one line. But what we're doing down here is we're going to have the else statement. So if insure price equals 0, user age is 25. So we're saying here, if user age is less than 25, the insure price is going to be 4,800. Else, it's going to be the insure price is going to be 2,200. So what is happening here is if this evaluates to true, we'll do this. Otherwise, in all other cases, we're going to do this right here. So what do you think is going to happen here? Let's think about 25. Is it less than 25? I don't think so. So our price should be, wait, hold on. If user age is less than 25, which it is not, it should be 2,200. Is it not? Let's take a run at this and see. And we are not printing anything out. So hold on just a second. Let me see what happened. So we should be printing out. Yep, the insurance will cost $2,200, which is kind of what this is actually, I think, the opposite of what I wanted to test originally. So if the user age is greater than, yeah, no, this is correct. So if it's less than 25, you're going to want it to be 4,800 because, of course, younger people are more reckless according to insurance agencies. So 25 is our border case there. If we were 24, we would expect to be paying a little bit more. So we scroll down here and look at it after we run it, and sure enough, it's 4,800. Testing the 25 is what we did previously, and that's just the border case. So that's the point at which it drops down to 2,200. And of course, going in the same direction, we change it to 26. and we have it's still 2200. So that's kind of testing the, the three different areas of the cases, below, above, and equal to that amount. So let's see, the next example that they had was the max. So trying to determine max values. So again, we're going to go ahead and comment all of this out, and we'll go ahead and paste in the max. So we start here with max num equals 0. And I'm going to make up one here. Let's say x is equal to 343 and y is equal to 2323. So the logic goes, if x is greater than y, we're going to say max num equals x. So otherwise, we're going to say max num equals y. So then we do a printout of the max. So let's go ahead and see what this gives us. Let's do a little clear screen here. And when we run it, it says the max is 2323. Looking at x and y, that seems to be correct. So it didn't go here. It actually assigned it to y. So y is your max. Yay, that works. So now let's go ahead and look at different cases. Let's say x is 100 and y is 10. And we should see the opposite of what we just had. And we see max is 100, right? So it took the top one. So x is greater than y, so it executes this instead of the else. So then what happens if they're equal? This is interesting. So if we put them equal, let's say 11 each, we go in here and we execute max is 11, which we'd expect because they're equal. So which way did it go here? Is x greater than y? No, it is not. So it's automatically going to go to the second one and it's going to assign it to y. But because x and y are the same, essentially it comes out correctly as we'd expect. So that's the max example that they have. And then they had an example about, it looks like marriage. So we'll go ahead and comment out the code there. We'll put in the next bit. So we're looking at if-elseif-else branches. So in this section, they talked about it generally. They didn't actually put it in Python code. They talked about else if. It's named a little bit differently in Python. It's actually elif, which I think is kind of neat. But anyway, this is just like the if-else, except that we have a block that executes if neither of the previous branches were executed. This last catch-all is not necessary and can be omitted. So we start out here with number of years being 50. I think this is like the number of years you've been married. So we say if number of years equals 1, and that's what this double equal sign is. The double equal sign is not assignment. The double equal sign is actually testing for equality here. So if number of years equals 1, we're going to say the anniversary type equals newlyweds. If the number of years equals 25, we're going to say anniversary type equals silver. If the number of years is 50, then anniversary type is golden. So if it's none of the above, it's just going to say anniversary type, congrats. It's not really going to say much anything. In that sense, I really don't think anniversary type would be the best variable name. Maybe it would be, I don't know, greeting or something like that. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and print out the anniversary type. So we set the number, the num years up there to 50. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So we get golden, which is what we expect because it's equal to 50. So let's go ahead and change that to 1 and see if that executes the way we think. And sure enough, it's newlyweds. Let's say we make it 3. What do you think is going to happen here? It's not going to be 1, 25, or 50. It should trip off this other catch-all. So let's see if it does. And it does. It's congrats. So let's see if 25 works the way we think it would. We go down to 25. Hold on. Let me see here. We've got 25. And we're going to run the, hold on, let's clear that screen. Let's run it. And it says silver as we expect. And we ran 50 to begin with and it was golden. So now we tested pretty much all the different ones and we tested something in between that would trigger off the congrats down at the bottom. So this is what the code looks like that they ran. So this in a nutshell is what we went over in the first section here. So going back over it, let's kind of review. We went through branches. The simplest type of branch is one where we have just a simple if statement with code that can run. And remember, we can have the code, it has to be indented four spaces or one tab, and you can have multiple lines here. You could have it, let's say, over here, you can have the print statement there. You can have as many lines as you want. But as soon as you want to get out of that block again, you just go back to where the original indentation was. So then the next case we could have is an if-else. So remember, the if statement here is what happens when this boolean, this true or false value, evaluates to true. And then we have the catch-all down after that, the else. And you don't have to have an else. You can just have the if, but if you want everything else to do something else, you put in your else right there. And then we, down at the bottom, we used a number of these different conditions to get to, we went through 1, 2, 3, 4 different things here. And we had our catch-all at the end. We also learned over here that the double equal sign is equality. So we're checking for equality. We're not actually doing an assignment here. And that pretty much wraps up our introduction to the general idea of control structures, the if, and we went over the if-elseif-else here as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'd be happy to help.